Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and this is my ever so slightly belated post-show review for Semi-Final 2. I'm trying a little something here, a little new something, splitting this into a separate video from the breakdown of percentages of my predictions and the live reactions to the actual qualifiers. That doesn't mean that this video will always be late every year. I intended to release this yesterday, and I just didn't have the time or the energy because I was producing a radio show, so I hope you understand. So, yeah, 2 days ago we had the second semi-final, and yeah, I know this is a bit late, but I shall just move past this, and so that I have time to do this and the pre-show review for the final, I'm going to rattle through this fairly quickly, but that's okay because I don't have the fattest lot to say, so let's get started. Once again, in running order, we'll start with the qualifiers, then non-qualifiers, because once again I didn't write down who was announced when, and, I don't know, arbitrariness. So, first in the running order that qualified, Austria, also 10th to be announced, and that was agonizing, but I'm so happy for him. He totally earned this qualification. I'm so glad, because it's such a nice song. Though, one thing that's bothered me for quite a while, and my mother can back me up on this, and we seem to be the only ones who have, like, maybe we're not the only ones who've noticed, but we're the only ones that it seems to bother. Why doesn't he say the word chest? Is this... like, are they afraid of reminding us of Poland 2014 and Austria 2012? Like, he says damn in the previous line of the song. So whatever you want, whatever you need, you've got to get off your wink. Like, what's wrong with the word chest? It's not like it's a synonym for... okay, it is a synonym for boobs, but it doesn't have any of the connotations of being a rude word, because, like, this is a chest and there are no boobs. Am I barking up the wrong tree here? Other than that, spectacular performance, adorable, very well done, and he earned the qualification. I should have had more faith in him, but it was a nightmare of a semi-final to predict, and I stand by that. Then we skip ahead a couple of songs to Romania, who were the next ones to qualify based on the running order. Well, it certainly was a memorable performance. It was even weirder than I expected, with this sort of marching nutcracker dolls in the background, but hey, I mean, it worked for, well, that kind of craziness has worked for Moldova in the past, so yeah, why not? I'm happy for them, and once again, I stand by my initial analysis. Everyone else likes the song, and I wish that I could. There's just something that doesn't click with me with it, but I understand why people like it, so I'm at peace with it qualifying, because it is a bit of fun. It's just not a personal favourite of mine, but I wish I could like it more, because it is really fun to watch. I certainly won't be, like, leaving the room when they perform it in the final, that much is certain. That would be horrendously petty. So yeah, good performance, interesting staging, good for them. And they're really lovely people as well, having listened to them interviews and such like, so jolly good for them. And then the Netherlands qualified. Well, I don't know if it was in that order, but according to the running order, they're next up for me to talk about. And I'm not really surprised. It has been pointed out how on the nose it is that in the final, they have this song immediately followed by Moldova, entitled Hey Mama. And this is a song about Eugene's mother who isn't well. Seems a little bit insensitive, but whatever. So, Eugene, excellent harmonies live, but I will say that the Netherlands have sent songs that I enjoy more than this that failed to qualify, and if the Netherlands still had the luck they had a couple of years ago, then this wouldn't have qualified, even though it's obviously legitimate enough to qualify, because qualify it did. But I don't know what's changed with them, but whatever. It's not one that I personally would have put through, as you can tell by my family's results, but, you know, that's not me disparaging the song, because it is 3 minutes of fun, it's just not really my personal choice, but clearly it was the personal choice of enough people to put it through, so I'll live. And then there's Hungary, and, no comment. It's Nadal winner who performed with charisma and had a message, and so qualified accordingly. Now, I will say, I did have something of a revelation during the performance that makes me appreciate this song even more. And that is that supposedly, within the world of the song, it's supposed to be him and the backing singer, and they're supposed to be in some kind of love, but one of them's Romani and one of them's non-Romani Hungarian. And what I'm thinking is, right, supposedly, the refrain of the song is a vocalization that's either in a Romani accent or, like, traditional Romani, I don't know. But in my mind, what I'm thinking is, the verses are in Hungarian because they both speak Hungarian. The refrain is what she hears when he speaks Romani. So it's like from her point of view, and if that's the case, then I find that really clever. I don't know if that's what he thought when he wrote the song, but I appreciate it because of that. So good for you, Hungary. I'll be interested to see where this ends up on the scoreboard in the end, so... And there's Denmark. My mother doesn't really appreciate the song. I'm kind of meh towards it. I think it was the exact middle of my top 43, or at the very least, it was for a lot of people. I remember when I was doing the scoreboard, the spreadsheet thingy for the mega top 43, giving Denmark 22 points several times, because 22 is the very middle of a top 43. And, yeah, that's kind of all I have to say about it. I'm not going to say nice things, but I'm also not going to say nasty things. It's just kind of a song. Anya seems really sweet, so... I do wonder if people voted for this song or her song from last year because they recognise her face, but maybe I'm just not giving enough credit to you lovely people out there who voted for this song. Not my first choice, once again, but it was for enough people that it qualified, so yeah, whatever, I'm not going to argue with the result. And Croatia. Croatia. Happy for them, because obviously they left the contest for a while, came back last year, qualified, and now they're qualifying again, so that wasn't just a lucky fluke. And so happy for them getting the results they deserve. I did wonder whether this one would make it or not, because on one hand, Jacques has a really incredible pair of voices, and he seems so sweet, but on the other, I thought maybe some people might think this, operative word here, some people might think the song is too dated and then not engage with it, but clearly that didn't happen, so it qualified, and the staging was absolutely adorable, and I will give props where credit is due. Or crops where credit is due. That made no sense whatsoever. Why did you keep this in the video, Tess? Norway qualified, and my mother and I are very happy, because it's a good song. It's very good. I like it. And they staged it basically the same as in the national final, but bigger. Also, and I love how they used this clip in the recap of qualifiers as well, but Joust, he's like hitting that drum on stage just to be theatrical, I guess. And he hits it so hard he nearly knocks it clean off the stand, and that, I don't know why, but that just really tickles me. I'm hitting this drum, and then whoops, there goes the drum. Because Hungary did the same thing in 2012. They had a mixing desk, and one of them in the semi-finals hit it so hard that it nearly just tipped over, and I've still not forgotten about that. Also, I had a dream last night that I was somewhere, and they wanted me to play a drum, and someone else was playing post-it notes like they were a musical instrument. What? Belarus! Oh, Belarus, you're so cute! I'm glad for them, because this shows that, hey, you weren't misguided in sending a song in the Belarusian language, and also first qualification in a while for a country that doesn't qualify all that often. Oh, good for you, Belarus. I'm so happy. I just want to give them a big hug, because they're so sweet and so nice. And the song is adorable, and like watching the performance, I was really worried that her dress might get caught in the fans of their little hovercraft thingy, but they did it with conviction, they did it in their native tongue, and it worked for them, and I'm so happy, because it's so sweet and so cute, and like, oh, Belarus, you're so adorable! And then Bulgaria, bringing it home for the Bulge. I call them the Bulge, you see. Very well performed, quite possibly the most competent performance of the night. And you wouldn't have thought that he's so young. Christian is just all around an incredible performer, and I expect him to bring home really big results tonight as well, in the final. There's not really anything I could say. When I went to university yesterday, I showed my radio teacher some of the performances from the semi-finals, just because he was curious to see what sort of thing to expect tonight, because he watches the final but not the semi-finals for some stupid reason. And Bulgaria was one of the ones that I showed, and generally, he was impressed. The rest of the class was impressed that, like, this young bubba is able to give such a really compelling, like, professional performance. He's so professional, and it's just, good on you, Bulgaria. I'm sure you'll get a result that you deserve by the end of all this, and rightly so. I expect that I will probably vote for him. Bearing in mind, you can see Bulgaria got my 12 in the semi-finals. Oh, certainly, good luck to Christian. And then rounding things up, Israel. Of course it's going to qualify. It's Imri with a fun song, so yeah, spot in the final. Woo! But seriously, not much to say about his performance, but it was fun, and it qualified, and yeah. What else can I say? It was qualification fodder, and it qualified. I'm happy. And then moving into the non-qualifiers, once again going in running order. Serbia. I can't say I'm surprised. Normally, Serbia is one of those ever-present countries that always qualifies except for the years that they didn't. Well, that sounds stupid, but I mean, 2009 and 2013 they didn't qualify because reasons, and in 2014 they didn't take part at all. But this, by all rights, should have qualified, but her performance was boring. And I don't take that lightly as a criticism, but the staging was so boring and void of anything for a song that's this high energy. You can't get away with her just standing there while someone crab walks and is shirtless. And even then, her vocals weren't on point. And I know it sounds like I'm being really, really harsh against this performance, but I suppose this is why people are harsh against Blanche, because Serbia was my number 11, and I really like the song, and it really disappoints me to see that the live performance let it down so much. It lets the song down, it lets Tiana down as an artist. It was so much wasted potential. They had the gimmick of her sitting in the spinning hoop in the music video. They could have used that. There was so much potential here, and they didn't capitalize on any of it. It was just a boring sort of, she's standing there, straining her voice, trying to break into impressive territory, and it just never happens. So I'm not surprised it didn't qualify. The song deserved to, the performance didn't. Now, one might say the same about Macedonia, but I would dispute that, because, I mean, Yana revealed that she was pregnant in her postcard, and then in the, either in the interval or something, she got proposed to, and she said yes, and the BBC didn't show it because they'd much rather show some comedy sketches that nobody asked for. But hey, my heart is broken by this, because Macedonia won the voting in our household by quite a commanding lead. Like, even compared to semi-final 1, we had a sort of a slight tie for first, which was broken in accordance with Eurovision rules. This one, 30 points, easily a winner in our household, and she didn't qualify. I don't understand what the problem was. Okay, so their staging was a little bit vacant, but it still worked as far as I care. She performed perfectly fine. I don't know what went wrong. Well, I mean, I guess people just didn't vote for her. That's what went wrong, but why didn't she qualify? I am slightly salty. She deserved to do well. This was like Macedonia's most contemporary effort since Nina Nina in 2006, I feel like. Or is it? I don't remember at this point, but this is one of Macedonia's finest offerings, and it didn't get them into the final. Please don't give up on the contest, Macedonia. Just keep doing what you're doing. You'll break back in eventually. It's such a good song, and it's such a sad loss that it didn't qualify. And then there's Malta, where in my household, my parents found it really easy to forget it existed. So that's not to say that it was bad, but once again, the performance, the staging was very Like, she just sort of stood there with a bluish background singing into the camera, and just, that was it, really. Oh wait, Portugal did the same thing and qualified, and still no one's explained to me what the deal there is. But, sincerely, open question. So, Portugal and Malta gave very similar performances. Why did Malta not qualify when Portugal did? And I'm not saying that one is right and one is wrong. I just want to understand, and no one's explained it to me yet, so I still don't understand, and I want to understand. But no one's helping. Malta, Claudia, excellent vocalist, but sadly nothing came of it. Ah well, better luck next year, I suppose. And then there's Ireland. Poor Brendan. If the semi-finals had been configured differently, this could have sailed into the final quite easily, just because the performance was... Okay, the balloon looked a bit strange, but I appreciate the whole cinematography of everything's black and white with a little bit of red, and him on stage is black and white with a bit more red, so he looks like he's in colour when everything else isn't. And it worked, and his vocals were mostly good. And it's a shame. I hope this doesn't discourage Ireland just as a whole, because they can produce good songs. They just need to keep trying, I think. And for the love of goodness, don't go back to the Late Late Show. If you're going to do a national final, do one that's got a bit more effort put into it, and then you might start seeing results again. I want you to do well, Ireland. I push you because I care. And then there's Soon Moo. San Marino didn't qualify, and I'm sad, because they did really well in our household's voting, which surprised me unto itself, but the performance was so happy. It had me smiling like a doof the whole time. They were just so infectiously happy. So, they could have done more with the staging. They could have had, you know, the backing singers actually dancing with them, and I do think the backing singers should have held on some notes a bit longer, like the whole we, can. Like, in that bit, the backing singers should have held the notes on for longer, because it did sound a bit stupid. But I suppose you could say the staging is from Jimmy and Valentina's point of view, that there are other people in the club, but they only have eyes for each other, which is adorable. And it was just so happy, and it should have qualified, and you watch, it'll have come like 11th or 12th, which I would be at peace with. Oh, Soon Moo, please don't give up on the contest, because you have so much more to give. Please, email me or something, I would love to help. I love you so much as a country, please don't give up on Eurovision. Then there's Switzerland. Like I said, the performance was a yogurt advert. I affectionately referred to the group as Canary Mary and the Probiotics to my parents, and they understood who I was talking about. So I'm not insulting them by any means, but I really did think this was a safe qualifier, and then it didn't, because, like, she was even giving it the vocal gymnastics, but, like, with a kind of, oh, we know that people love us, so I can get away with showing off a bit, and it'll probably only do us good in the voting, kind of vocal sort of showing offness, and I really thought they were safely through, and then they didn't. They didn't were through. grammar. I'm surprised, but I wouldn't have put it through personally, but I know that this song was very popular with a lot of people. So, Switzerland, they do still need another shot of energy like they got in 2014, because 2014 was a turning point for Switzerland, where Sebalta qualified and reignited passion for the contest in their country. They need that again, I think, and clearly this wasn't the song to do it. So hopefully next year they'll send an absolute barnstormer of an entry, and maybe the Swiss will become passionate once again. I certainly hope so, but I would say this was a step in the right direction, but I liked Riker and Melanie Renee, and I will fight people over this. Oh, Lithuania, speaking of passion, this was probably the most competent delivery of this song that I've ever heard, which is meant to be praise from me. I know it might sound a little bit strange, but it's meant to be praise on my part. So Lithuania, I certainly enjoyed the performance. It was good. She did still say yeah a bit too much, but she had tighter control over how much energy she expended on performing. So this could have been a lot worse, and I respect her for it. So, good for them. It is one that I might come back and watch at some other point. But I'm not surprised it didn't qualify, because the song itself was horrendously unpopular with people, and that one performance alone probably wouldn't be enough to sway people. I do wonder if the obvious syntheticness of the brass might have cost them points with the jury, because I know the jury is supposed to judge them on a technical basis. I wonder if the composition of the song is part of that. If so, I'm not surprised that it didn't qualify. If not, well, I don't know, but it wasn't a popular song, so I'm not surprised it didn't qualify. And then finally, rounding out the running order, is the itsy-bitsy creamy memey goodness that was Verona. Oh dear, Estonia. I, once again, like Switzerland, judging by this song's popularity and the fact that it came, 5th in the OGAE poll, I really thought this was dead set to qualify. Not because I liked it especially much, because I was kind of meh towards it, but I know for some people they really liked the song. And the delivery was okay, it wasn't off. And I know the Estonian delegation did appeal to perform again just because the microphone was 2 seconds late in turning on at the start, but Laura is right. 2 seconds of lost audio at the beginning of the song isn't going to have cost them the qualification. It must have been something else, like the camera work perhaps, because Coit's face is just so memey, just the whole "we are lost," just that. I went to university yesterday, and a colleague of mine told me that she'd watched the semi-final, and she hadn't planned on doing it. I'd actually convinced her to watch the show somehow through my radio show, and she didn't want to, and then she did want to, and she watched it, and she loved the Estonian performance because she was laughing at the camera work. But, sort of laughing with rather than laughing at, even though I just said laughing at, but just Coit's face, it should be a meme, just the whole dramatic stare. I find it funny in a sympathetic way. I think other people may have been laughing at it in retrospect. So I'm sort of half and half surprised and not surprised that it didn't qualify, because not surprised because it's a Sven Lohmes song that sounds like a Sven Lohmes song and it doesn't sound like it's from 2017. On the other hand, I am surprised that it didn't qualify because it was really popular and it was performed with conviction. So but it didn't make it, which means that in the final we have no Baltics, only one ex-Yugoslav country, and, well, we have the core Scandinavians, so that should be at least some flavour of interesting. So, I would show you now my live reactions to the qualifiers, but that's actually its own separate video. Let me know whether you think it works or doesn't work that I've split this into 2 videos. Now, in subsequent years, I'll do them as 2 videos if you like it, but that doesn't mean that I'll save this video for the day of the final. That was just me not having the time or energy with my radio show. So, in future years, post-show reviews will be the day after the semi-finals happen. They'll just be 2 videos rather than 1 on the same day. Let me know if you think that works or if it doesn't. But for now, I have been and will continue to be Tessellating Hexagons, and I will see you later today for my pre-show review of the final of 2017. Oh my goodness. See you then.